Hello, and welcome to this video on referencing in academia. A quick introduction. So, why referencing? Firstly, academic writing does not occur in isolation. This means that we use others' ideas, and we should acknowledge this. It shows that we've conducted rigorous research, and it also helps us to avoid plagiarism, which is taking credit for another's work, kind of like stealing intellectual property. It also shows that we are indeed aware of others' ideas, and this lends credibility to our own work. Our reader may be interested in knowing what we have done with our sources, where we got our information from, and then they can read them themselves. Lastly, when supporting or critiquing a position, it's always important to show that the object of critique is fairly presented. You need to give your opponent a chance to speak for themselves. And the best way to do so is to use their own words. So, what is referencing? Referencing is acknowledging ideas and work that is not your own. It is also providing sources for information that you have used. So, acknowledging ideas, we can have, for example, the following sentence. Rawls understands civility as persuasion and not a threat. There is our referencing information. So we have the author's name, the publication date, and the page number on which this information appears. Secondly, we can have a sentence like the following. The wealthiest 5 individuals have seen their fortunes grow to more than twice what they were in 2020. Again, our reference information. We have the author date, the publication date, and the page number. In this case, this is a report by an organization, and so it's not an individual person's name. We can also see that in this one, we have a direct quotation. We have quote marks, and those 5 words in a row are not ours, but someone else's. The second example is one of paraphrasing, where we have completely inverted words and restated them. So, what to do with references? Firstly, we should incorporate quoted material. In this sentence, I've added a bit of padding. Since 2020, the richest 5 men in the world have doubled their fortunes, reports Oxfam. We also need to not just incorporate the material, but use the material. Since 2020, the richest 5 men in the world have doubled their fortunes, which is alarming when one considers the loss in income so many people experienced during the COVID-19 pandemics. As you can see, the references go inside of the punctuation because the reference is a part of the sentence or the clause to which it belongs. We should also be a bit sparing with quotations. Here is a very large quote. For huge corporations, just as for super-rich individuals, the last 2 decades have been extraordinarily lucrative, and the last few years have been better still. The biggest firms experienced an 89% leap in profits in 2021 and 2022. We can make the same point in much fewer words. So we can write, for huge corporations, the last few years have been better still. The biggest firms experienced an 89% leap in profits in 2021 and 2022. As you can see, I've added these ellipses, and they indicate to the reader that I have left something out of the original text. In this case, we can look further into changing quoted material. Square brackets are really the thing to use. So the original text may read, "The gap between the global north and the global south has grown for the first time in 25 years. I may want to use this in my paper in the following way. Due to aggressive corporate expansion, the gap in wealth between the global north and the global south has grown for the first time in 25 years. The square brackets indicate the changes, namely the uppercase has been changed into a lowercase, as I no longer need the uppercase, and I've added some information which the reader needs in order to make sense of what's going on. Referencing styles. So there are 3 main styles for the humanities: These are the Modern Language Association, MLA, Chicago Style, or the American Psychological Association, APA. There are many other styles, of course, but most of these are particular to the fields. There's engineering styles, medicine styles, legal styles, but the above three are good for the humanities. Really, any style is good, as long as you are consistent throughout your paper to avoid confusion. Another style used fairly regularly is to incorporate footnotes. One could say, the fact that the richest 1% globally emit as much carbon pollution as the poorest 2/3 of humanity illustrates the environmental damage of extreme wealth. And here you can see I've used footnotes for the reference information. The footnote should appear immediately after the quoted material. One benefit to this style is that the text looks less cluttered, and if the reader is interested in the referencing material, they can look for it, but they don't have to skip it while reading. Typically it looks like this on a page. The bibliography. This is where the information that you've used in your text is presented in full. So you may in your text perhaps have written, Mouffe argues that liberalism and democracy cannot work together and present us with a deep paradox. Your reader may be very interested to know what kind of paradox this is and where can they find this information. They will go to your bibliography, they will find the entry for Mouffe 2000, they will notice that it says The Democratic Paradox, the title of the book, published in London by the publication company called Verso, and if they turn to page 45 to 49 in this text, they will find this argument. A chapter in a book. Here we see Alexander Livingston. He wrote a chapter called Nonviolence and the Coercive Turn, and it's in a book edited by William E. Scheuermann called The Cambridge Companion to Civil Disobedience, published in Cambridge by the Cambridge University Press. And this chapter can be found on pages 254 to 279 of the book. An article in an academic journal. Here we see an example. Michael J. Sandel, in 1984, published a paper called The Procedural Republic and the Unencumbered Self. It appears in the journal called Political Theory. It is in issue 12, volume 1, and it appears on pages 81 to 96. There is a report, like the one that I've used in this presentation, by Oxfam, published in 2024. The report is titled Inequality Inc., or Incorporated, How Corporate Power Divides Our World and the Need for a New Era of Public Action. I have then presented the website where it is found, as this report is not physically published anyway. Video, for example. Here I've taken a YouTube video. Vox is the publisher, or the author of the video. They published it in 2021 on the 8th of July. The title is How the Rich Avoid Paying Taxes. It's on YouTube, and I've also offered the web address where you can find that. So the most important is to read other academic texts and pay attention to the kinds of things being referenced and how they are referenced, to give yourself a good idea of what to be doing in your own paper. Most word processing softwares also have built-in referencing tools which you can use. And of course, online is an immense amount of information for you to consult. So, good luck!